Hey yo, what's good? We got these Air Jordan 11's that came in for a restoration. I can't even tell if they're the Concord 11's or the DMP 11's. There's just so much mud caked on the uppers, I have no idea what this person was doing. Like, how can you destroy a pair of shoes this bad? I honestly don't even know if I could bring these back to life, especially with the mud inside of the mesh. I'm gonna brush off as much of the dry dirt so it'll be easier for me to clean them later. There's just too much mud, so I'm just gonna clean them in a tub of water. As I'm cleaning them, I'm noticing how yellow the soles are. Also, the stains on the white mesh aren't coming off with just brushing alone. I'm gonna try some Just for Kicks cleaner to clean the upper and to clean the rest of the shoes. The cleaner is doing a good job removing the dirt off the pant leather and the soles, but the stains on the uppers are just very tough. But I don't want to give up hope this early. I want to give them a rinse and see what they look like after. I'm using a water pick to clean deep inside the mesh, and I don't see any difference. These stains are really tough, so I'm gonna need to use something a little bit more abrasive. Do you think there's a sneaker cleaner out there that can take these stains out easily? Let me know in the comments and I'm gonna go try it out. Without the mud, you can see the heavy stains on the upper mesh, a receipt stain on the icy sole, and these pink dots on the icy sole as well. I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna separate the soles so I can work on the uppers and the midsoles separately. These shoes already needed a reglue, but I'm able to separate the uppers with just my hands. I'm gonna give the soles a quick clean and ice them with my own formula. I'm basically gonna make my own Sally's 40 volume cream without the hair product ingredients. So it's just pure 12% hydrogen peroxide and a thickener. And for the thickener, I'm going to be using xanthan gum. For the sole sauce, I'm gonna mix 12% hydrogen peroxide and xanthan gum together. Honestly, anything would work as a thickener. Cornstarch would be good, it's cheaper, but I just wanted to try xanthan gum. I'm gonna apply the sole sauce on the rubber sole and on the midsole too. Sole sauce is great for removing stains off of Jordan 11 midsoles. After applying my solution on the soles, I'm going to apply saran wrap to prevent it from drying out while I put it in the ice box. I'm going to try to clean the uppers again, this time using dish soap. Dish soap is great for cutting through grease and grime, so I'm hoping that it'll remove these stains. And the reason why I don't use it on shoes all the time is because it will dry out the leather. Okay, so that honestly didn't do much, but the one trick that I normally use to whiten anything is to use hydrogen peroxide, but not the 12% because that's gonna eat the shoe up. I'm using a more milder 3%. Now I'm gonna toss them in the ice box so I can let it cook inside. Alright, so the hydrogen peroxide didn't work. You could probably see like a 0.5 difference in how less dirty it is. So I'm gonna try OxiClean stain remover to remove the stains off the mesh. And I'm gonna wipe off any excess off the patent leather because I don't want it to bake in the patent leather. And I'm gonna let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before I clean it off. Guys, I'm losing hope. Nothing is working to remove these stains. Bro, I have no idea what to do. These stains look permanent. Okay, so before I use bleach, I really hope I really don't want to use bleach. I'm gonna try using vinegar and leave them out in the sun and put them in the ice box if it's nighttime. Okay, so a full 12 hours have passed and nothing. Absolutely nothing happened to the shoes. I'm really losing hope right now. But good news for the icy soles. The pink stuff went away and the receipt's ink stain is slowly disappearing too, just from adding sole sauce. It's still there faintly, but it was a lot worse before we started icing the soles. Honestly, I didn't even think it was possible to remove the ink stain from a receipt by icing the sole. So I'm going to keep icing them to remove the yellow rings around the pods, and I'm going to add more sole sauce around the ink stain to hopefully remove it. So the uppers are still cooking inside the ice machine, and if it doesn't work, I might just have to use bleach, but I would have to test it on a small area first to see what it would do. I did remember back in the day, before there was shoe cleaners, people were using household items to clean their shoes, and in Nike Talk, in the sneaker and maintenance thread, people were using Barkeeper's Friend. And before I thought the Hail Mary and use bleach, I wanted to give Barkeeper's Friend a shot. And as I'm scrubbing the mesh, I'm noticing the stain slowly going away. At this point, I'm like, holy shit, these shoes can be saved. Now, before my hopes get too high, I want to make sure that it works on all the stains first. If you guys use Barkeeper's Friend to whiten your mesh, I want to make it very clear that if it gets on your patent leather or the white leather on the collar, you have to wipe it off right away. It will damage the leather, so just be careful. Now, before I show you the uppers without the stains, I want to whiten the upper mesh first. So this laundry detergent that I got that whitens clothes doesn't have blue dye in it, so I'm gonna put some blue dye in it. This is gonna make the whites look a whole lot whiter because it's gonna give it that cool hue to the shirt. I'm gonna add a generous amount of detergent on the uppers with the blue dye, and then I'm gonna leave them out in the sun to whiten even further. For the laces, I'm going to use the same laundry detergent to clean them up. With the uppers fully dry, the detergent is dried onto the mesh. You can see all the waviness from the detergent that's pulling all the dirt that's trapped inside to the surface of the mesh. And to remove all that trapped dirt, I'm going to scrub it with running water. Sometimes the dirt is just too deep for the brush to even attack, so a little Thai massage will help release the dirt inside of the mesh. I'm going to use my extractor tool to suck up as much water as possible before I let it air dry. And here's what the uppers look like now, thanks to Barkeeper's Friend. There's still a little bit of wicking that happened while the shoes are drying, so there's some dirt that rose to the top. So I'm just gonna take care of that with my steamer. It looks blue, so I'm thinking it's the detergent that wasn't completely washed out. Now that the uppers are finally clean, I'm gonna start prepping the uppers for a reglue. I'm gonna use my Dremel tool to remove as much glue as I can, because I don't want my glue to bond to the old glue. I want it to bond to the bare leather. Alright, so I noticed that the 23 on the back of the Concords that I'm fixing are really cracked up, so I want to try to replace it. I got this photo from Google. It's a dead stock pair of Concord 11's from 2011. I'm going to trace it out and use my Cricut cutter to cut out a heat transfer vinyl and use my iron to put on the new piece. Now that I got my vinyl, I'm gonna resize it to the correct size. It's about an inch wide and half an inch tall. I'm going to remove the cracked 23 on the back with acetone and a Q-tip. Actually found it a lot easier to use a cotton ball, go figure. And for the smaller details, I'm gonna go back to the Q-tip. There was a lot of lint left on the heel, so I'm using a piece of tape to remove the lint. I'm gonna carefully place the new 23 on the back, making sure it's directly on top of the old one. And then I'm going to use an iron on medium settings to permanently bond the two pieces together. I'm also going to use parchment paper for extra protection, just in case if the iron touches the leather, I don't want it to burn. And here's what they look like. I'm going to do a durability test. I'm going to use a fresh X-Acto knife and see how durable this is. I'm also going to finger the back to see how strong it is. That's actually pretty durable. This is guaranteed to never crack. I'm actually not surprised because I use the same material on the insoles for the shoes I've been wearing for years and the logo has never rubbed off. Just like the uppers, I'm going to remove the factory glue from the soles. This is just going to make our re-glues more solid. Now before I get into the re-glue, I want to make sure that the insoles are fresh, so I want to cut the grease, grime, and germs with Dawn dish soap. And you already know what time it is when you see the foam. Que shoe nada. I see a lot of sock bunnies on the sock liner, so I'm going to hit it with the lint remover because I don't want the person that wears these shoes ankles chafe. It's finally time to start the re-glue. I'm going to apply a thin layer of barge cement super stick on the midsole first. Now this is important because I'm going to lay down my foundation of the re-glue, and it's very helpful to do this first because I'm going to be painting the toe cap white to match the milky toe cap. So to make the milky toe cap, I'm going to mix a little bit of glue with white paint. I'm going to do a few coats of this. Doing too much will reduce the strength of the re-glue. So I'm going to make it as white as possible before I re-glue the uppers. I'm going to use my heat gun on the lowest setting with the highest fan speed to accelerate the drying time, and I'm just going to give it a few more coats. I am going to have to wait for the glue mixed with the paint to fully cure, and I'm going to wait about 24 hours before I start gluing it back. I will glue down the heel first, just so I could already lock it down. I'm going to apply a thin layer of barge cement super stick on the heel on both the upper and on the midsole. I'm gonna wait about 10 to 15 minutes. Then on medium heat, I'm gonna hit it with a blow dryer. I don't want too much heat because that will deform the foam. This foam is very sensitive to heat. I've had issues before when I first started restoring where I made it too hot and then I touched the foam with my thumb and it left an imprint of my fingerprint. So I'm just gonna hit it really quick with some heat and then bond it together. I'm not going to glue the toe cap just yet. I'm going to glue the sides closest to the toe cap first. This is just how I'm doing it. You don't have to do the exact same steps I do. This is just easier for me to line up everything. When I do reheat the glue before I bond it, I focus more on the heat on the upper and not so much on the sole. This kind of helps balances out me not putting too much heat on the foam, just so I don't make the midsole too soft. I'm going to repeat the steps throughout the whole shoe until the shoes are fully re-glued. It is a very tedious process, but as long as you have patience, you can't mess this up. Occasionally, there will be areas where you need to touch up, but that's not a big deal. If your shoes separate after the first time, I'd say that's normal from my experience. For some reason, the older the shoe is, the more touch-ups you need to do. I feel like it has something to do with the leather itself. And for the shoes that are much newer, I can almost one-shot it every single time. It's just the older shoes that I have issues with. It helps to have a temperature gun just in case if you heat the glue up too much. I like to let it cool down a bit and wait like 10-20 seconds. If it gets too hot, like around 150 degrees, sometimes I wait about a minute or 2 minutes just for it to cool off. Because if you bond it while it's still too hot, it's gonna spiderweb and it's gonna separate instantly. I'm just gonna finish up the re-glue and just close up any open areas. I went to my local shoe repair shop to get some ink oil, and they recommended me to get this. I asked them if they had anything to shine pan leather, and this is what they recommended. It was like $2 to $3, so I'm giving it a try. It's my first time using it. I mean, it works pretty well. It just leaves like this oil on top to make it look shiny, so I'm just gonna buff it out. And just like the 23 on the back, I wanted to replace the Jumpman that's missing from the insole. So I have my heat transfer vinyl. I'm gonna take out the excess material and then iron it back on. I'm done with the finishing touches, and that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys learned something new, give this video a thumbs up, it helps me out a lot. And subscribe if you have not already. Alright y'all, take care and God bless. Yee! cut. Honestly, I kind of wasn't happy with how the 23s came out, so I made a new batch. I wanted to make sure that it was perfect as possible. It looked like a depressed 23, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. And because it was curved, the Cricut was making a lot of mistakes because of how detailed it is. So I took off the one that I put on, and I'm fixing the mistake, and I'm putting this much better one. This is the new and improved version 2. And if you guys want to cop one for yourself, I'll put a link down in the description. It'll be a link to my eBay page. And that's it. I just wanted to make this quick plug. So if you guys need a fix or repair, I got you. The link will be in the description. And good night.